Hi, everyone, and welcome to another high-flying episode of
The Dungeon Crashers.
I'm Guy.
And I'm Zapeel. But before we get started, remember to like and subscribe and turn on that bell so you don't miss any of our excellent D&D content. Today we'll be doing a build based on the Owlkin race from Strixhaven's Curriculum of Chaos. They are, as the name suggests, a birdfold race, and if your campaign doesn't use them, the Aarakocra from Monsters of the Multiverse will work just as well. The racial features are a little different, but the build won't change much at all. Your campaign might not use either, and some DMs don't allow races with a fly speed, and some don't even allow monstrous races at all. If this is the case, Wood Elf is another option that would work for this build almost unchanged, except for, of course, being able to fly. That is a big difference, but it doesn't affect the way the character progresses in any major way. The reason some DMs don't like races with the fly speed is because they can avoid a lot of the common enemies and obstacles, attack safely from range without as much chance of being attacked back, and even get surprise attacking from above. Actually, all of the things we are going to be doing with this build. If you are using a non-flying race for this, don't worry. We will still be able to get surprise and attack safely from range.
Now, our goal with this build is to make a truly excellent archer. There are a lot of ways to go about this. Rangers make great archers, as do Kensei monks. But ultimately, in 5th edition, I think the best archer of them all is a straight champion fighter. Now, in our Murder Clown video, where we did a 20-level paladin, we mentioned that on the surface, a single-class paladin can seem very basic, and we built that character to make the least typical paladin possible. Well, the champion fighter is widely considered to be the most basic character of them all, and there's a lot of justice in this. No spells, the class features aren't flashy. However, this does not make the character weak. It is very good at whatever it wants to do. A champion is the perfect warrior. It doesn't rely on limited resources, doesn't need a short rest after every major battle. It just excels at winning fights. So instead of trying to break the mold on this, we're going to use it as intended and make a character that is the best it is at what it does.
Yeah.
As Zapeel said, we're using the Owlin race from Strixhaven. I like this over the Aarakocra because of their natural stealth and amazing 120-foot dark vision. The Aarakocra's talons are nice, but not very useful to a dexterity-based character, and the wind color ability is also nice, but doesn't really help with our goals for this build. Owlin can be small or medium, and we want to be medium as we want to use a longbow. Their Silent Feathers ability gives them proficiency with the stealth skill, and as I said, they get 120-foot dark vision. They have a 30-foot walking speed, and if wearing light or no armor, have a fly speed equal to their walking speed. For background, we're taking the Far Traveler background from Sword Coast Adventure Guide. It gives proficiency with insight and perception, and the feature from this background is that the people are interested in you and about your homeland, and this might give you access to such people like scholars and nobles.
Owlin get the abilities that most newer races get, which are 3+1 ability bonuses that can be put wherever you like, but no more than a +2 on a single ability. We are going to put 9 on strength, a 15 on dexterity that will make it 17 with 2 of the bonuses, a 15 on constitution and will make it 16 with our remaining bonus, a 10 on intelligence, a 12 on wisdom to help with our perception and insight skills, and a 10 on charisma. We are not a social misfit, but tend to listen more than we talk and prefer action over words. At first level and every level we'll be taking fighter. We get proficiency with 2 skills from their list, and we want acrobatics and survival. Acrobatics will help us avoid being grappled, and survival gives us the hunting and tracking abilities that one would expect from a renowned archer. We also get proficiency with all weapons and armor, as well as strength and constitution saves. For equipment, we'll be wanting studded leather armor, a longbow, and either a short sword or rapier for when we must get into melee. I like the look of the short sword, but the rapier does better damage. Don't take a scimitar, however. We want to use piercing weapons for an ability we will get later. We'll be getting a fighting style, and we want archery. A +2 bonus on a hit is extraordinary, and we will need to be as accurate as possible. We also get second wind, allowing us to heal 1d10 hit points every short rest, which gives us a little more endurance. At second level, we get Action Surge, allowing us to take an extra action on our turn, and we can use this ability once between short or long rests. This can be a potent ability. Obviously, it lets us take 2 attack actions, which will get even better when we get extra attack, and can make 2, 3, or 4 attacks per action, but it also could allow us to attack and take the dodge action or attack and disengage, etc. Attacking twice is our preferred choice, but having other options is always nice.
And at 3rd level, we get our martial archetype, which is champion. And from this, we get improved critical, scoring critical hits on a 19 or 20. As we mentioned before, the champion abilities aren't flashy, but they are powerful. Critical hits are powerful, and doubling the chance to get them is pretty great. Critical hits are obviously better when you have extra dice to double, such as smite or sneak attack, but even without that they are strong, and we're going to get something to make them stronger next level. At 4th level we get an ability score improvement or a feat, and we're going to take the Piercer feat. When using a piercing weapon such as a longbow, short sword, or rapier, this allows us to reroll the damage dice we do with an attack once per turn, and we get to roll 1 additional damage dice when we score a critical hit. This also adds us +1 to strength or dexterity, and we're going to make our dexterity 18 for better accuracy and armor class. And at 5th level we get extra attack, allowing us to attack twice when we take the attack action. This means we can do 4 attacks in a turn using action surge. At 6th level we get another ability score improvement or feat, and we are taking the sharpshooter feat. This has a number of abilities. Attacking at long range doesn't give us disadvantage, and we can fly, and longbows have a very long range. In an outdoors encounter, we're going to be an absolute nightmare. Obviously, in dungeons, castles, etc., this will be less effective. However, sharpshooter also lets us ignore half and 3/4 cover, so inside these structures, people won't be able to hide behind window frames, tipped over tables, battlements, etc. Lastly, and definitely not least, we can subtract 5 from our attack roll in order to add +10 to the damage we deal with each shot. This will let us do tremendous damage to anyone within our extremely long range. A -5 to hit is a big risk, but the archery fighting style offsets some of this risk, and unless the enemy is particularly well armored, it's almost always worth it. And we don't have to use it. If we see the guy in glowing full plate with a tower shield, we can always just choose to shoot him normally.
Yeah. At 7th level from Champion, we get Remarkable Athlete, which lets us add half of our proficiency bonus to any strength, dexterity, or constitution check we make that doesn't already use our proficiency bonus. This is good, but not as good as it sounds, since there are a lot of checks that we don't already have proficiency in. It will help with athletics, which is nice if we are shoved in combat or if we ever need to swim, climb, or jump. But we can also fly, so that might not come up much. There are no constitution skills, but con checks can apply to holding our breath, traveling long distances, or binge drinking. And for dexterity skills, we already have stealth and acrobatics, so that just leaves sleight of hand. This ability would be much better and not at all overpowered if you added strength, dexterity, and constitution saves. It would suit the archetype, be a strong feature, but still be less powerful than a paladin's aura of protection. I would definitely house rule this to make a champion a more attractive subclass. One great advantage of this feature is that initiative is a dexterity check, and adding half proficiency to that is great for us, as we really do want to shoot first and not ask any questions later. We are going to get even quicker on the draw later on. At 8th level, we get an ability booster feat, and we are going to get a little quicker by capping off our dexterity at 20. In addition to boosting our initiative, this will make us more accurate, and that will make sharpshooter more reliable, and it will help also with our armor class. At 9th level, we get our first use of Indomitable, which allows us to reroll a saving throw once per long rest. This comes in handy a lot more often than you might think. I can't even count how many times that one failed saving throw has completely changed an encounter. Of course, rerolling doesn't guarantee success, but it helps. And we don't have any real weak saves. Our strength is low, but we are proficient with strength saves. Our constitution saves are excellent, and our dexterity saves even without proficiency. We even have a positive modifier on our wisdom saves. Intelligence and charisma saves are our only saves without bonuses, so we don't have any with a penalty.
And at 10th level from Champion, we get another fighting style, and we want Dueling, adding +2 to damage with a single-handed melee weapon, as long as we aren't two-weapon fighting. So now, when we must get into melee with our rapier or short sword, we do a bit more damage. This, combined with our piercer feat and our capped dexterity, makes us pretty formidable in melee, even if we would rather be shooting. We've mentioned this before in other videos, and this is a good time to point it out again. It's pretty easy for a bow user to switch from range to melee and back again. In 5th edition, we can interact with one item as part of our movement without using an action. This includes drawing or sheathing a weapon. A bow is typically wielded in the offhand and fired with the dominant hand. So if we're fighting with a single melee weapon in one hand, we don't need to put away our bow, we can just hold it in our offhand. So if we need to melee, we use our free item interaction to draw our sword and fight. And to go back to shooting, just sheath our sword and start shooting arrows. Unlike great weapon fighters who have to sheath their melee weapon, then use an action to draw a bow or crossbow, then wait around to shoot it, then do the reverse to go back to melee. Two weapon fighters and shield users take even longer to do this, but we can switch freely without missing an attack. At 11th level, we get improved extra attack, making 3 attacks instead of 2 when we take the attack action. This is one of the reasons I think fighters make the best archers. Combined with the extra feats they get for piercer and sharpshooter, they are able to deal massive range damage. The better critical chance from champion just makes this even better. A good case could be made for an Archer Eldritch Knight, which would add a lot of options, including some very powerful ones, but I like the simplicity and elegance of just being a very good shot. I do believe that an Archer Eldritch Knight would be many times better at being an Arcane Archer than the actual Arcane Archer is. And at 12th level, we get another ability score improvement or feat, and we're going to take the Alert feat, which gives us a number of advantages. First, we can't be surprised while conscious. This is a lifesaver in a lot of combats, and with our high initiative, we will probably be going before whoever was trying to surprise us. Speaking of which, the second ability is that we add +5 to our initiative. Combined with Remarkable Athlete and our Cap Dexterity, this gives us a +12 to initiative at this level, and it will be 13 by next level. A few things like Gloomstalker Rangers, War Magic Wizards, and Swashbucklers might be faster, but only if they also take the Alert feat. Lastly, creatures don't get advantage on attacks against us just because we can't see them. We are a nightmare for assassins, and invisible enemies are a lot less of a problem. At 13th level, we get a second use of Indomitable per long rest, making us even more resilient.
Yeah. At 14th level, we get another ability score improvement or feat. We don't really have a good use for our reaction except for attacks of opportunity. And as a ranged fighter, we don't get as many opportunities for that as we would like. So let's take the defensive duelist feat, letting us use our reaction to add our proficiency bonus to our armor class versus one attack when we are holding a finesse weapon. This will only help us in melee combat, but it will make us even more impressive at that than we already were. At this point, we are very deadly with the sword and a bow. At 15th level of champion, we get superior critical. Now we can score a critical hit on an 18, 19, or 20, which means we'll be getting a lot of them, unless you roll like Guy. 3 chances out of 20 is a 15% chance for a critical. At 3 attacks per round, we will have a 45% chance for a critical hit every round. At 16th level, we get another ability score improvement or feat, and we need to toughen up. We could raise our constitution, but for now, let's take the tough feat, adding 2 hit points per level. As we have gotten better at melee fighting as we level up, we might be spending more time in melee combat, which means possibly taking more damage, so the extra hit points will be very welcome. At 17th level, we get another use of Indomitable, making us really resilient to a lot of nastier things that we might encounter, and we get another use of an Action Surge. As we have 3 attacks per action, twice per rest, we can make 6 attacks in our turn with Sharpshooter. That is potentially a 6d8 plus 90 damage, and at least one of those will probably going to be a critical hit.
And at 18th level from champion, we get Survivor. At the start of each of our turns, if we are less than half our hit points, but not at 0, we heal 5 plus our Constitution modifier in hit points. This not only gives us extra endurance in a fight, we can also fly out to long range and shoot with our bow while we heal up every turn. And at 19th level, we get our last ability score improvement, and we're going to make our Constitution 18, giving us more hit points and letting us regenerate more with Survivor. And lastly, at 20th level, our extra attack improves so that we can make 4 attacks instead of 3 when we take the attack action. By itself, this is a lot of damage, but with Action Surge and Sharpshooter, it can devastate an enemy. I really like what this character can do. All of its abilities work well together. It deals consistently high damage. It is stealthy, has lots of endurance, and can serve as both an archer and a frontline fighter. Obviously, flying is what puts us over the top, and we made this build to exploit having a fly speed. But a wood elf or other non-flying race would also be a very powerful archer.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I think a wood elf with this build would be a good D&D version of Legolas from The Lord of the Rings. Or Variant Human would make a good Green Arrow from the Arrowverse, having the right mix of archery, stealth, and a hand-to-hand. I also like how it really shows that a character doesn't need spellcasting to be powerful.
We often add a list of magic items to our builds, and this character really needs them. These are just suggestions that we think would be good for the character. What you actually get will depend on your DM and your campaign. We give 1 legendary or very rare item, 2 rare, and 3 uncommons to a level 20 character. Now often the magic items are just a nice addition, and in some cases we even leave them off because the character is versatile enough it doesn't need anything in particular. This character, unlike most characters, has a glaring weakness in that it has no way to affect things that can't be hurt by non-magical weapons, and is pretty weak to things that resist them. This isn't a huge problem because most characters will have a magic weapon by the time they really need one, but it can be a problem. So, for most, it needs a magic bow. Any bow would be good, even just a +1, but we can do better. From Legendary, we want Crystal Dragon's Wrath Weapon from Fitzwin's Treasury of Dragons. These weapons come in a variety of rarities and get more powerful the more rare they are. They also can be any weapon and can be based on any dragon type. We chose the Crystal both because we like the style of it and it will make sort of a set with another item we're getting. And we chose a longbow for the weapon type. The legendary one has several abilities. First, when we hit with a natural 20, the target and all creatures of our choice within 5 feet of it take 5 radiant damage. It has a +3 to attack and damage rolls, and deals an extra 3d6 radiant damage on each hit, and as an action we can release a 60-foot cone of radiant energy dealing 12d6 radiant damage with a DC 18 save for half. And now from rare, to go with our dragon bow, we want a dragon sword. And we want a crystal short sword or rapier. It is made from a spine from a crystal dragon. On a hit it deals 1d8 radiant damage to the target in addition to its normal damage. It sheds light in a 30-foot radius and dim light for another 30 feet, or can just shed dim light for 10 feet, or no light at all, which would be good since we have really good dark vision. It also has 3 charges and regains 1d3 every dawn, and we can spend 1 charge to heal the radiant damage we dealt with an attack. These use 2 of our attunement slots. Also at rare, we want +2 studded leather for a nice armor class that doesn't stop us from flying. At uncommon, using our last attunement, we want a cloak of protection, helping our armor and saves. It doesn't say anywhere that cloaks interfere with our wings, but maybe customize it to be a tabard or a vest. We also want a bag of holding. A quiver of Bologna seems logical, but it only holds 60 arrows, whereas a bag of holding could hold hundreds. And we can just load our regular quiver between battles. And lastly, a wand of magic missiles would give us an option for things we can't hit or that are immune to piercing damage.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, or build ideas, please leave them in the comments section below. Join us next week when we talk about the new books from Spelljammer, and we'll be making a build for it, so look forward to that. And until next time,
Cheers.
Cheers.